Okay, it's Fender time. So, big scratch there, scuffs there, touched up scratch there, scuff there, bubbly paint, some touch-ups, some little dents. This is something I noticed on this car that I really don't like, is this weird styling cue here. The fender comes along and it starts to round in about right there. I don't know if you can see it really, but yeah, see that line right there? So the excuse me. So the fender starts to round in here. It's all rounded in here. It's not so much back here, but it does round in there. I don't know, I think it should have just been kind of straight out to the fender opening. One thing about these old cars that I, kind of like is being able to put fender skirts on them. I don't know how good a fender skirt would look in here. You'd have to put one of those big ones that, kind of starts out here and, I don't know, goes along and covers this whole area. That might look all right. But anyways, so much for my opinions on things. So all this touch-ups, it's all kind of superficial issues. The real problem with this fender is starting here. This is rusty. And then let's flip it over for the worst of it. You can see that rust there again. I guess this is part of the reason it's rusted out, because a bunch of junk was trapped in there. And then let's see here, a little bit of rust there. This is rusty here, not too serious though. How strong that is. And this one's completely gone. Now, if you're looking through the camera, there we go. That. And coming down to here, this is okay, but then it gets bad. This one's gonna have to be replaced. It's pretty thin right there. Gone, gone, gone. Yeah, this is all thin here too. I think probably what I'll do is I'll just trim this off. I'm not gonna bother to fix that. I'll just trim it back to good. Then it won't be able to, that's just a poor design right there. That's just a ledge to hold junk. So I think I think what the big problem with this fender was, other than the fact that it's 70 years old, is when they sprayed this car with this tar junk. The fender was on the car. So really what needs to happen is, before I put the fender back on, I will plug all these bolt holes up, mask off the painted area here, and then I'm going to spray this with undercoating, this whole area here, to get this to bridge over underneath. So what happened was the fender's bolted on here, and then they spray that tar on over top of the fender, and then the fender, kind of moves around a little bit and form the crack in the, or maybe it never really was sealed completely. And so over the years, moisture and junk would go in here, and mud and, you know, fine silt and stuff, and just get built up in this area between the fender and the body, and just stay wet and rust stuff. So I'll undercoat that before I put the fender back on. I just noticed here maybe a potential problem. There's a rust bubble right there, kind of. I think it's okay. It's just on the surface. I had to repair a couple spots there and one there. So, anyways, this side of the car is done. I'm just got to do some filling on the front fender. Excuse me. And I'm gonna wait until I get the door on to do that. I did fill the door, but I just thought it'd be a lot easier, seeing the door was off the car already, to fill it before I put it on. Hopefully I don't have to do any changes to the door. But anyways, I'm gonna jump in on this, get this all cut off, and make a template from the car, and test fit the fender on the car, and line everything up, and weld it together. See all the mud. Look at this. I already washed this off, but look at mud trap. Later. This here is, I believe it's 18 gauge, and you can see that I've taken it and bent it in the brake, and this bend matches this bend here, the bend of this fender as it returns around here where it bolts on, so it matches that very nicely. So I am going to attempt by shrinking this wide edge. I'm going to attempt to bend this around this curve here and make this replacement piece for the front edge of this fender. But now I have to go get some firewood for my wife, because it's a cold spring day in British Columbia and she'd like to have a fire. Here's the piece I'm working on to fix the rust on the front of this fender. Sorry I didn't make a video of me making it. Took quite a few hours, so would have been pretty boring. But anyways, it started out as a flat piece of metal, and then I took it to the sheet metal brake and I broke this edge here, and then I've just been shrinking it along here. I started out, I didn't have these cutouts here. This was full width. Actually, I cut a little bit off the top of here too, but just kept shrinking it all along here. Did a little bit of, I've been kind of shrinking, and a few spots I overshrunk it, so I had to expand it again by just banging on it. And then this edge too, I've been kind of going back and forth, fine-tuning it. Anyways, made all these cutouts, and I didn't realize that, see that spot right there? Wasn't cut out, so I guess it's solid right across here. But that's okay, it'll work. So anyways, that's where it's going to end up going, is right there. It's kind of frustrating because I get it fitting really well on the Fender, and then I go to fit it on the car and it doesn't really fit too good. But I guess it's because it's trying to go in the same place as that is, and it doesn't really work. So anyways, when I when I fit it on the car here, it seems to fit pretty nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the rusted area of that fender, and then I'm going to bolt this onto the car. I'll knock out all the holes to bolt it on. I'll bolt this on the car, and then I'll bolt the fender on, on top of it or whatever, and fit it to the fender, and then tack it on when it's all bolted on, and then it should be fine. So I forgot to mention, you might have noticed it's got this little step in it here. So how I did that was on the bead roller. I'm really liking these dies. I've used them for quite a few things. So I just ran it through the bead roller. So I've gone and flipped these dies around to do this. So anyways, that's how I did that. Pretty basic. I could probably run it a little bit here. No, it's not plugged in anymore. And I have this Shoemaker's, I guess it's an anvil. It's got a lot of nice, curved sections on it. It's got a smaller one here, and then it's got this. I guess this is for working on the heel of a shoe. I don't know. But yeah, I actually kind of funny. Where did I get that? I found one somewhere, and then the very next day, this is just a couple of weeks ago, I was at a friend's place. His dad just died, and he had one. I grabbed it, and it's there. So anyways, haven't really looked too hard at them. These are kind of rough. They're not the greatest castings. They're not. It does kind of look like somebody was using this one for beating on metal. It's got all these marks in it. Yeah, see, there's a big gouge there. I guess you guy could fill that in with some weld. But it worked nicely on this little project because it's a nice, closely matching curve there, and it matches perfectly there. So just for doing a little planishing, and also used my planishing hammer a little bit on this to, when I over shrunk stuff, I'd run it through that to bring it back. Anyway, here it is with most of the rusty stuff cut off. I just cut it off right, just I guess you want to say outboard of the bend there. Just cut all the rusty junk off. So I cut it off that side, just a hair that side of the bend. And then put it, and then I cut a little notch in there so I can just hook that in there like that. Rounded the corner in a bit. So, get it on the car. I won't weld it until it's on the car. Here's the patch piece bolted onto the car. So, looks pretty good. A nice, fairly uniform contour, matches the quarter panel, pretty nice. Get back here a little bit more. See that? So I'll put the fender on there and see what that looks like.